com comes over the spectrum with a job. All it says is an amount of cargo, a delicate timetable, and a risky route. You know you've got 42 cubic meters to pack full of profit. We're talking pressurized and shock-resistant construction, so whatever you put in here comes out the same way. You got two Arc Duo 400 engines. Their award-winning colloid ion technology gives you maximum fuel efficiency while keeping your sig low. Come across a couple of pirates.
Hey, Lancer, you know the drill.
But with a weapons system featuring trusted names like Bering and Cronin, you aren't too worried.
Commercial vessel, Freelancer class. Red tags look good. Cleared for landing at Area 18.
You're the one they come to when they need a job done right. Because you trust one ship. Misk Freelancer. Built for life. A com comes over the spectrum with a job. All it says is an amount of cargo, a delicate timetable, and a risky route. You know you've got 42 cubic meters to pack full of profit. We're talking pressurized and shock-resistant construction, so whatever you put in here comes out the same way. You got two Arc Duo 400 engines. Their award-winning colloid ion technology gives you maximum fuel efficiency while keeping your SIG low. You come across a couple of pirates.
Hey, Lancer, you know the drill.
But with a weapons system featuring trusted names like Bering and Kronik, you aren't too worried.
Commercial vessel, Freelancer class. Brake tags look good. Cleared for landing at Area 18.
You're the one they come to when they need a job done right. Because you trust one ship. Misk Freelancer. Built for life.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's another Thursday here. Well, ladies, and with that right there, like I was saying, it's another Thursday here, and you are live with Checkered Flag Interactive. We are going live here at Road America. As the UpperEdge Racing CMC Sportsman Series continues on through the season. Now, Shane, we're just past halfway in the season here. What do you think these drivers are going to be willing to do to get the victory here tonight?
Well, definitely, Steve, being pretty much halfway in the season, these guys have seen a lot of different racetracks, a lot of different races, and they've had chances to make moves. And the guys up front, they've taken advantage of that in the standings, and they're where they want to be, at least at this point, and have the best chance of taking home this championship, even though it's a pretty dominant lead by Corey Hoover right now. 57 points over Austin Hartenfels, and it's pretty close behind him. But these guys in the back half of the standings are not where they want to be, at least, or anyone else really in the standings that isn't where they want to be. They're now at this point in the season where it's a Hail Mary time. It's time to go out there and try some things and really just go for broke at this point, because we're to that point in the season where if you don't put it on the line, it's pretty much game over. So we'll see what these guys can do in a track like Road America. Great racetrack tonight to be racing at, and guarantee we'll probably see some good racing and possibly some strategy as well.
And one of the drivers we are watching closely is Ryan Dyson, tied for that third spot in the standings. He's got one pole on the season, and he's been slowly creeping up more and more into the front of the field. He's also got one win, 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s. So Ryan Dyson, that driver number 28 RCA machine, he's always up towards the front here tonight. Tentatively qualified in 8th, and I do believe that's where he will stay, as he's not in the final round of qualifying. Some new paint schemes out here tonight as well. We'll take you through all of those as the night goes on. But, you know, after that last race, the CMC Charlotte 200, we go here, and these boys are going at it at this place. And Road America is not an easy track by any means, but it's tons of fun, Shane.
It definitely is tons of fun, and I've actually, surprisingly, as long as I've been on iRacing, have not run an official race here at Road America. We've covered several different races here, Steve and I and CFI, so we've seen plenty of action here, and obviously when they always come here in real life, it's an awesome race, so it's really nothing short of that here on iRacing, and these guys are going to have a blast out here tonight, and going to probably see some guys who are good on the road courses kind of be toward the front, and maybe some newcomers tonight, maybe not really known for the road course fever. They might catch it tonight and really do well.
Corey Hoover's currently sitting up on top of the standings at the end of qualifying, coming up here in just a few moments. Hartenfels, his teammate there, not far behind, trying to come up and possibly be there, but starting on the front row nonetheless. Both drivers are going to be looking pretty good. And then Byron Daly sitting there in that third position here as qualifying wraps up, and then Bradley Burke and Mark Murphy inside that top 5 as well, so a lot of competition there. But the majority of times here are between that 2 and 3 seconds back mark from that leader. So Corey Hoover running some pretty impressive times.
Yeah, he really is. He's actually over half a second quicker than his teammate Austin Hartenfels, and he's second place. And he's almost got a second on third place driver Byron Daly. So pretty dominant lap Corey Hoover set there, and it's probably one of the reasons why he is the points leader. He's been consistent and dominant all year long. He's definitely going to be the favorite for tonight, and he's probably going to be starting at the pole here as qualifying, getting ready to wrap up for these guys. But I think everyone behind Corey is going to be really hungry, because they already know his car's fast, and he's going to be the one to beat. Well, that pretty much puts a target on the back of your back, I guess you could say. So it's going to be interesting to see. Turn 1's always an interesting place on a road course, and I think coming down to Road America, as tight as that turn is, it's going to be pretty interesting here on the start.
Yeah, going down into the first corners, and you know, it's always really, really interesting here. And you go into those first opening corners, in the first top 5 really, they make it through pretty easily, but then after that, everyone else is just dogging for it, trying to get in there, and anything can happen. It could get a little bit sketchy, and some of these drivers could get in a little bit of trouble.
Definitely, and I think an interesting point to point out here for tonight's event is we're going to have over 25 cars take the start here tonight. I don't think we've seen that on a road course in the UpperEdge CMC Sportsman Series in a while, at least. 22 cars have taken time. Several guys in the back half of the field have not recorded qualifying time, but will start this race. So nonetheless, that's going to be a lot of cars on track at once, and a lot of cars fighting for that very vital space that you kind of see around this road course. Some turns going to be obviously wider than others.
And that also means that some of these drivers might also take it a little bit too hard on some of these corners, find themselves in a lot of trouble here. And those walls will come up on you pretty quickly, especially if you're heading around the corner just with way too much momentum and too much leanway. you're going to find yourself into that outside wall, and you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So these drivers here need to remember that they've got to stay on top of everything and not get lazy. 35 laps does not sound like a lot, but here this track, it's pretty lengthy here. You're running at 2 minutes 15 seconds in the heat of the run there. So it takes quite a bit of time to get around this place here, and you got to stay on top of things for sure. And now, Shane, the car's heading down onto the grid here. We're going to roll off in just a few moments. We'll get ready to get this action over to you. We're going to step away here, get all of our information ready to go here up in the booth. Don't go away. We've got the start of the race for you in just a few moments.
We are 24 Designs, Jeff Gordon Graphics and more. We make custom graphics, logos, and even iRacing paint schemes. Check us out on the web at www.24-designs.com for requests today. Again, that is 24-designs.com. 24 Designs, where the best graphics are made.
So I was looking at the new Aurora, but then I was thinking, maybe I should get something that looks a little classy. But then I was like, no, I need something that can pull some serious weight. Maybe I don't need all that cargo space. What about the Legionnaire? Now we're talking. How about some bigger guns? Little bigger. No, little bigger. There you go. And maybe some rockets, too. Actually, I should probably upgrade the power plant. I did like the leather seats on that LX, though. Yeah, perfect. All right, let's see what this baby can do.
moments away from getting the action kicked off. The field still cycling around here on the pace lap. Shane, before that pace car pulls off, what do you think we'll see going into turn 1?
Well, I know these guys, they've been tested a while, they just qualified, they know it's a 5-lap race. By all means, they're going to still take it aggressive. As much as we think they're going to be non-aggressive, they will be aggressive into this first turn here. Whether or not we'll see contact will be interesting to see, but I think these guys, they know they have to put it on the line, and you know, laying back at all in this race could definitely hurt your chances of doing that. So expect some pretty close racing and possible moves that you won't expect early in the race to happen here in the opening laps.
And you just never know what's going to happen, and that's what's so exciting about these races and the CMC Sportsman series in general. It's always a new adventure every single time, and well, Shane, it's going to be just like that this time around as well.
Well, Road America, one of the most unique, really, road courses in the entire, country. You could really say all the elevation changes, the scenery is fantastic. iRacing, of course, well, they've modeled it pretty much to perfection here. As the pace car gets ready to pull off, they'll climb this long hill, and all the way on the other side of the hill is the start-finish line, where the green flag will be waved to get the race started.
Field is away, green flag is out, and we get ready to dive it down into 1 and 2.
Still double file here, 4 rows deep as they barrel it down to turn number 1. So far looks clean. A couple of cars grab a little bit of dust there. The 44, Michael Laria.
Finlayson in the 0-1. The number 24 gets in it. Oh, Davis is toast. That number 24 is toast. It looks like a couple of drivers might be already out as Riley Grant Davis is, blocking Alan Cryer there, trying to get out of the way. Oh, wow.
And just when we thought we wouldn't see contact in the back half of the field, some big-time contact. There are a lot of guys, they're raced already pretty much down the drain, and you can even see some retirees after that first turn wreck. It's pretty amazing. But nonetheless, lots of cars involved here, and a lot of guys are going to have a tough time.
Most of the field finding a way to get cycled out and trying to get a little bit of space there. Almost some contact between Chris Wright and Trevor Roppolo. And it looks like Ryan Dyson's going to try to capitalize up to the outside around the carousel. Will he be able to make any move? He's going to try to cross back over after the apex there. Not going to go anywhere there. So he'll just have to hop back inside. And he's looking to the inside now as we head through the S's. Is he going to be able to do anything there? No, he won't. He'll have to back out as well.
Field spreading out pretty much around this track evenly, but there's pretty much the closest battle there for the 7th spot. Chris Wright and Ryan Dyson, and also just behind Ryan Dyson is the 9 of Trevor Roppolo, who's actually gotten around him, and now the 23 of J.D. Laird is actually the car directly behind Ryan Dyson, and he's made his way up towards the front because he started 13th, and he's all the way up to Ryan's rear bumper now, who's in 8th. So far J.D. Laird making some nice progress here on the first lap, and really the place to get him here on road courses is on that restart, knowing all the cars are right in front of each other.
Dyson still on the move, trying to move up through the top 5, into the top 5, and making the pass there on Chris Wright finally after a full lap of trying. First lap in the books, however, Shane. And it looks like Corey Hoover did, in fact, remain in the lead. And now these drivers that we're looking at right now, J.D. Laird in the 23 gets really loosey-goosey. He's going to hold on. But these guys are already 8.7 seconds back from our leaders. And then Corey Hoover and Austin Hartfells are all the way up there with Byron Daly trying to stay in touch with them on lap number 2. Already huge spread.
Yeah, definitely. It's just over 2 minutes to go off around this track, and that's a lot of corners to gain time and also a lot of corners to lose time. And so far we're seeing that out of pretty much the entire field on your front 3. Corey Hoover, Austin Hartfells, and Byron Daly setting the pace. really after that, there's no one else really in the same zip code running the same lap times, at least around this track. So, you know, when you're that fast, you really can't pull away from the rest of this field. But it seems like fifth on back, they're pretty much to each other, and we're actually starting to see some nice battles develop.
Jamie Haley trying to move up as well in that number 99, trying to move on Colin Bowden. Colin Bowden struggling a little bit there. And it looks like Jamie Haley will be passed by Loraria. And Loraria will move up into that position just in front of him as they go side by side. Mark Garoppolo, Colin Bowden. Colin Bowden gets loose, he'll hold on to it there. And that could have been close there. Always a very tight corner.
Yeah, those guys did a nice job there. Not a lot of room around some of these turns, and definitely, especially early in the race, maybe it's not really worth it to go off-road to really pass someone. Later in the race, we'll probably see that, but for now, just keep all four tires on the racetrack and learn what you've got at this point. It's 35 laps. These guys cycle around a complete lap at the start lap 3, so really at this point, you kind of know what you have a little bit because you go around all these turns, and it takes over 2 minutes, so you know how your car is handling, I think, at this point, even this early into the run, but I think for most of these guys, they're still trying to figure out how fast they really can go around the guys in front of them.
Chris Wright is still in that mix of drivers battling back there. Oh, we got someone saving it back there. Holy cow. It looks like there is a huge save out of Loraria. And Loraria just got so loose up off the exit of the corner there, turn 3. And oh, Colin Bowden drives it in deep, 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 and he's going to lock it down and have to slide it in there. That could have been ugly for him, so lots of loose cars early on.
Yeah, definitely lots of guys learning their limits, I guess you could say. We actually saw Michael Laria and Jamie Haley make contact, but now the 38 of Shane Terrian's gone around off one of these turns. He's in the grass. He'll get it spun back around, but he's going to lose a ton of spots.
Yeah, he's fallen all the way back to 21st after that right there. And that is a tough, tough hit, and it's tough to make up spots here. He's got a little bit of right or left front damage. So that number 38 Monster Energy Machine might be in just a little bit of a down spot, but he'll have to be able to figure that one out.
Yeah, I guess looking back on it, looks like he got on the gas and the car went around, so maybe a little bit throttle happy, I guess you could say, and you know, kind of lit up those rear tires, and the car goes around, loses traction off these turns. Something easy you can do on a road course is get back to the gas too early or too aggressively, and really get that car out of shape. And there we saw him spin out because of it.
Corey Hoover still out in front there. Austin Hartfell's currently still also in second. Then you've got Byron Daly in third, Bradley Burke in fourth, Mark Murphy in fifth. Then you got to look back a little bit further to sixth if you want to find Trevor Rapolo. Ryan Dyson's in seventh, and Chris Wright is in eighth.
And with that spin, Shane Berrien goes all the way back to 21st, and he makes a pass on the 47 to Thomas Story to move back into the top 20. But nonetheless, after that mistake, he's going to be one of those guys hoping for a caution here tonight. I believe that's controlled by the CMC Sportsman officials. It's not an iRacing service controlled cautions for tonight, so going to have to see if we get one of those before the race is over, and Shane could possibly get back in this thing. But for the time being, everyone else up front, they're doing their job. They kind of have spread out at this point, and that really allows you to kind of settle in and run your own pace, knowing that you're not really chased by anybody, but at the same time, you're watching all the guys in front of you get smaller and smaller, so it kind of forces you to overdrive the car. So we're really starting to see who's got the reins, I guess you could say, at this racetrack more than the others.
And It's a whopping 20 seconds separating the 10th place driver from the leader. And we are only 4 laps in, ladies and gentlemen.
Definitely a dominating pace, but I think most surprising thing, it's only a second back from first to second. Corey Hoover, Austin Hartenfels, I guess when have we not really seen this story? These guys have pretty much been identical on the road courses. Really, any road course you go to, throw them on any track, any kind of road course, really. And these guys ride on top of each other, literally the same skill, the same kind of cars, and the same result pretty much. Corey Hoover always leading Austin Hartenfels, but then again, we've seen some pretty dominating performances by Austin over Corey on the road courses, so it'll be interesting to see which one of the two comes out in front of each other, but so far both of them setting the field.
And right now, this early dominance is what we've seen many times to places like Road America. And taking a look right now, Colin Bowden looking to the inside of Krzyzewski. Krzyzewski on that outside, and that number 4 there, almost going to make some contact. Colin Bowden almost goes around there. He'll hold on to it there. And heading down the hill here, coming out of 1. The number 89, WeatherTech Machine, almost found himself in a little bit of trouble there. Joseph Tice also in trouble, as actually Joseph's okay. It looks like Krzyzewski's the driver that
And he certainly did not have, or he certainly did have some help, I should say. Got some help there from the back. That was Mark Rapolo. Got in the back of him, the 3-car, and kind of sent Krzyzewski off into the grass there, a little bit of the gravel. So have to see if something transpires later in the race there, because he just kind of drove him in there into the corner. It's the 89 of Colin Bowden back here for a battle for 11th. He goes off into the grass, almost hits the wall, does a nice job to keep his speed up and get it back on the racetrack. Pretty impressive job. Literally almost destroyed the wall there, almost had the whole left side of that car gone, but he saves it up. But a car that did not save it, J.D. Laird, he goes around here in one of these slow turns, and he's going to get it back going straight, but another car that's going to loop it around and lose some spots.
Byron Daly is 4.1 seconds back from Corey Hoover, trying to make up the pace already and just not being able to do much about it here. Ryan Dyson's still in 7th. And for a driver like Dyson, 7th right now at a road course, you know, it's historically one of those places where it seems like Dyson either does really, really good or just does a little bit average. You never really see him have too bad of a day at a road course. So luckily right now, Dyson's inside that top 10, 17 seconds back from that leader, so plenty of work to be done, so we'll just have to see how it plays out.
He's definitely in one of those positions where if he picks up just a little bit part of the racetrack, we see him get really squirrely there on the entrance to that turn, and he's actually going to hang on, get a little bit of the gravel there, but nonetheless get through. He's in a nice little spot here. If he can pick up a couple tenths per lap, could get by Trevor Rapolo and possibly could catch Mark Murphy up there for a top 5. He's about 4 seconds in front of Ryan, so interesting to see. We'll monitor all these guys' progress back here just outside the top 5 and maybe see if they can make their way toward the front.
Colin Bowden struggling to try to pick up that pace right there, as he's just lingering outside that top 10, but we saw him start to make a move not too long ago. He got loose, Looking up to the front of the field, however, it's Corey and Austin, like we've seen a couple of times at this place. They've got a nice little lead on everyone else, and I think they're going to start battling.
Yeah, that was, for some odd reason, not a very good lap by Corey Hoover. Almost a second he lost on Austin, and Austin is almost to the rear bumper there, and he caught him all the way down the straightaway, a little bit of draft, or maybe just got off that last turn a lot better than Corey did, because now it's down to about 2 to 3 car lengths. That is the lead, so going to be interesting to see how Austin pushes Corey this early on. It's only lap 7, but never know. These guys are setting the pace and have a 5-second lead or so on Byron Daly, so we definitely could see these guys, Steve, battle side by side, and who knows, maybe even trade some paint.
Yeah, right there. Looks like Austin Hartfeld's continuing to pick up the pace. Now, it's something we've talked about on and off since the update. But, I mean, with that updated tire model and the updated track surface model, things on the surface are a little bit different as tires start to get worn out. And as they start to, the grip levels change so quickly.
And I think something that we really don't see on oval tracks, but we really is an awesome part of road racing, is those braking zones and all the rubber markups that happen when these cars continue to throw it in there. Even some wheel lockup contributes to the rubber buildup. I think when we're going to really start to see that develop is this track, the conditions carried over from practice, qualifying, and now to the race. And when you've got 25 plus cars going around this track 35 times, it's definitely going to generate some rubber. So toward the end of this race, could really start to see these guys maybe even changing their braking zones or just trying to do something, knowing that they're going to have to compensate for that lost grip, and could really shake things up, and who knows, maybe even change the complexion of the race.
Mark Garoppolo now trying to battle with Chris Wright. Chris Wright seems to be falling off the pace just a little bit, and that number 3 machine's trying to continue to move up, claw his way through the field, just not really making too much progress, but he's lingering. And Mark Garoppolo is another one of those drivers. Once he starts to get momentum in the season, that's when you start to see him more and more.
And he started 17th and he's up to 9th, so I guess you could say it's a pretty good run for the 3 car. He's up 8 spots from his original starting position, and Joseph Tice goes a little bit wide there and could possibly be looking to take away this 8th spot here as Mark, as that's actually Chris Wright in front of him, my apologies. So interesting to see some of these guys making their way toward the field. Joseph Tice directly behind Mark, I should say. He's also made up 8 spots and he's up to 10th, so some of these guys, despite being at a road course, still moving up a huge portion of this field.
Oh, and just as we look away from the front, Corey Hoover gets passed by Hartenfels.
That'll be our first lead change of the night, and looks like Corey might have went a little bit wide in one of those turns, missed his braking point, and ends up giving the lead away.
Interesting to see how Hoover counteracts this right here. So it looks like he almost takes it wide all the struggle. Byron Daly's not making any headway really either. He's 6.4 seconds back. Bradley Burke in 4th is 10.3, and then we've got this cluster of cars still on top of each other there, 5 through 7.
Yeah, this battle from 5 through 7, as you just said, Steve, really interesting cluster of cars I guess you're going to be watching. Mark Murphy, Trevor Apollo, and Ryan Dyson. All these guys, they started inside the top 10, so they pretty much are where they started. But they seem to be the most close together, at least just besides your leaders, so could maybe see pit stops really shake this up. And speaking of pit stops, could be coming up on those soon. This track is very long. It's a very, very, very long track, and that's something that really is kind of not really thought of when you come to Road America, is how big this place really is. And the lap time really says it, over 2 minutes. These guys turning 2 minutes and 15-second lap times now, so really interesting to see exactly when these guys do eventually come down pit road and how many times they have to stop tonight.
And battling right now is Lariah and Garoppolo once more. Lariah and that 24 Designs machine still continuing to do a solid job even after a couple of mistakes early on. And at a place like Road America, you can make some gentle mistakes. You just have to capitalize on every other opportunity you find.
"27 cars started tonight's event. 24 currently on the lead lap, with Jason Thompson currently just getting lapped there by your leaders, and that'll put 23 cars left on the lead lap. So some of those guys, Mike Tellier, Michael Finlayson, and Rally Grant Davis, they fall victim to that lap 1, turn 1 crash, and really besides that, we really haven't seen much action.
Hoover and Hartenfeld side by side there in a bad spot on the track, and Hoover's going way off there, and that save that he just made right there, getting it back on track without losing anything, that is what makes a great driver.
Definitely, and wow, that is pretty superb driving by Corey. Not only to save the car, but to try and take the lead. That is not really a passing zone that he tried to take the lead there, but just a nice job to hang on to it. These guys, despite being only lap 10 now, they are still fighting for this like it literally is the last 5 laps of this race. And you know, the trust level, you've got to think, Steve, between Corey and Austin is pretty substantial. These guys have been racing in all these seasons here in the UpperEdge Sportsman Series, and obviously all the other UpperEdge events, iRacing and pre-iRacing. So, you know, these guys having fun out there. They know they're pretty much the same speed, so let's try to mix it up and make it a little bit different, I guess.
Ryan Dyson starting to breathe down the neck of Bradley Burke, that number 2 Royal Purple machine, or actually, excuse me, Dunk machine there, as I'm coming up with my own sponsors for him. And he's trying to hold off Dyson, and then Dyson's got Garoppolo to hold off as well as they head down the straight there. And so many drivers coming, so many drivers going, and it's very easy to find yourself falling in the trouble.
Yeah, it definitely is, and you know, some of these turns, we talked about the elevation changes. Some of these turns, they're hard to see, so these guys are already memorizing a line they have to hit going up these hills, but imagine a possible accident or a car that spins around the middle of the track, and you know, you come up a hill and don't see that car. It happens all the time in road racing, and you know, these guys really don't have the greatest of visions here, especially on, you know, these higher parts of the racetrack. So going to be interesting to see if that ever occurs. Hopefully nothing bad happens, but it's always something you have to keep in the back of your head, at least when you're around here.
And then Hoover did just reclaim that lead from his teammate Hartenfeld was trying to chase him back down here, so pit stops are going to occur relatively quickly as well, probably within the next 5 to 7 laps here, as the laps are clicking by pretty slowly for most of the field, but nothing too eventful going on, luckily, for a lot of these guys. J.D. Laird's back there. He's got a little bit of a battle going on with the number 20 of Chris Wright. Chris Wright's only been going the wrong direction on track here as we have 25 laps to go. Oh, and just like that, there's a little bit of excitement. J.D. Laird drives it in deep, and Chris Wright catches him. Joseph Tice is going to try to capitalize here, coming through those very, very tight corners. Oh my gosh, he just stuck it right in there and hoped for the best. He's not going to be able to pass J.D. Laird, but he will get around that number 20.
And now the 5 of Joseph Tice, he goes way off, completely misses that final turn in the gravel. He's going to lose a couple of spots. And just as we say the action wasn't happening, it just happened right there. And you know, JD, he took a chance going into that one of those turns, and it really almost missed the turn completely. Used Chris Wright, I guess, as his barrier, and Chris not really happy about that. But nonetheless, they sorted out, and these guys, they're only battling for 10th, but they're making a nice show out of it.
And they're still on top of each other now behind Joseph Tice. Chad Coleman gets by him there. And oh, Tice just gets really loose once more and almost swings around. As a lot of these drivers seeming to be struggling right now as the tires are getting worn.
Definitely, and you know, it's kind of it's a common occurrence on road courses to get those rear tires really aggravated, and you know, then you try and use the throttle off the corner the same as you've used in the beginning of the race, and the car's not really going to like that, and that's why you see these guys get really sideways off. And you know, even when you brake hard going into these turns and you get a little bit of what's called wheel hop, that really takes a toll on the tires, and you know, you see that off the corner. These guys have to chase it. Doing a nice job for the most part. Haven't seen anyone spin in the last couple of laps, so despite the tires wearing, these guys doing a nice job of hanging on to their race cars.
Justin Krasinski, the next driver to try to take down that number. But it looks like Chris Wright is really struggling.
Yeah, we've been talking about guys who have been going really from the back to the front, and Chris, unfortunately, is going from the front to the back. Started 7th, he's back to 11th, and Krasinski, he started 15th up to 12th, so he's moving forward. Chris Wright, as you said, Steve, is moving backwards, and he's probably going to be one of those guys who may or may not attempt a short pit, and, you know, just get a new set of tires on it, and, you know, try and put his strategy really back in his hands if he's struggling. Usually you pit early, just get a brand new set, reset the car essentially, and just try again. And so he actually gets really loose there. He's going to hang on to it, but nonetheless, some of these guys really struggling in the later portions of this first run.
And Chris Wright will get past there. And then Chad Coleman will be the next driver to try to set him up and take him down.
All these guys battling here just outside the top 10. They are 50 seconds off of your leaders. In 12 laps, Corey Hoover, Austin Hartenfels have put almost an entire minute on the back half of the top 10 into the early stages of the teens position-wise. So that's a pretty impressive pace, and those guys really setting the pace dominance-wise, and without a caution, it's going to be really hard to advance positions, especially into the top 3 now that those guys are so far gone.
Chad Coleman almost had a moment there in the back of the pack, and he took it to the runoff there and was able to keep it on the track and keep the momentum up. And a lot of these drivers are finding themselves in almost trouble. And by almost trouble, I mean, well, it could be a lot of trouble, but they, you know, they have so much experience here, and they just bring it back onto the track and seem to do a very good job keeping what could be a devastating wreck or something like that. You know, they just turn it back into, you know, slipped up the track there and just popping it back on and going with it.
I think that's really the awesome part of the CMC Sportsman Series, is these road courses that get added into even each and every season. The seasons are relatively short, I guess, compared to real life, the season, but nonetheless, tons of road courses, and that gives these guys experience. And it seems like every new road course and every next race we do, when we turn left and right in stock cars, it's just an even better race because of these guys are more experienced, they feel more comfortable. And as you mentioned before, Steve, with the new surface model, some of these guys probably their first time on a road course with that new surface model. So, you know, out there learning and out there getting experience and having fun at the same time, and the racing continuing to get better and better.
Well, now as the laps continue to click off here, about 20 to go, Corey Hoover leads Austin Hartenfels, Byron Daly, Bradley Burke, Mark Murphy, Trevor Rapolo, Ryan Dyson, Michael Araya, Mark Ruppolo, and J.D. Laird. That's your top 10. We'll be back in just a few moments.
A comm comes over the spectrum with a job. All it says is an amount of cargo, a delicate timetable, and a risky route. You know you've got 42 cubic meters to pack full of profit. We're talking pressurized and shock-resistant construction, so whatever you put in here comes out the same way. You got two Arc Duo 400 engines. Their award-winning colloid ion technology gives you maximum fuel efficiency while keeping your sig low. Across a couple of pirates.
Hey, Lancer, you know the drill.
But with a weapon system featuring trusted names like Bering and Kronik, you aren't too worried.
Commercial vessel, freelancer class. Red tags look good. Cleared for landing in Area 18.
You're the one they come to when they need a job done right. Because you trust one ship. Misk Freelancer. Built for life.
Back here live on CFI, pit stops have not quite started, but we expect them in just a few moments here. It's still Corey Hoover leading Austin Hartenfels, Byron Daly, Bradley Burke, Mark Murphy, Trevor Ruppolo, then Ryan Dyson, Michael Laraya, Mark Ruppolo, then J.D. Laird to round out the top 10. Ryan Dyson's got some competition in the form of Michael Laraya behind him. That number 4424 Designs machine's been beat up, been in a couple of incidents here today. and looks to be still pretty competitive around the track, surprisingly, even with that damage. And then looking back a little bit further, Chad Coleman, a driver that we thought would be a pretty considerable force, he's hanging outside the top 10 there, seeming to be pretty off the pace and struggling at this place right now. As you're going to see, he takes it very, very wide there to try to hit that apex at the best angle possible. Just doesn't really pick up much time doing so, so he's not really going anywhere.
Definitely isn't, and continue to mention his name and pretty much everyone else behind Chris. Really going to be looking forward to these pit stops coming up, get some new tires on the car, and really just give this race another shot. But I guess looking at what these guys are going to be doing strategy-wise, it's a 35-lap race, and at this point we're working lap 15, so I'm pretty sure these guys are going to only one stop it, and they'll probably stop here lap 17, 18, around that point. I would guess try and cut this race in half, really, and you know, just do it on one stop and go from there. So, you know, this long run really helping the guys who are taking care of their tires, but at the same time, anyone who's really struggling off the corner and just kind of abuse those rear tires are definitely struggling at this point.
Yeah, they really are, Shane, especially now as things are coming down to the wire in this run. If you've made too many slides on those tires, man, you're getting really, really in trouble. Bradley Burke, Mark Murphy going to be the first drivers to pull it down pit road from the front of the field. Michael Araya will follow through as well. For the time being, that will move Ryan Dyson up to 5th. Corey Hoover still out in front, leading Austin as we've got 20 laps to go.
And these guys coming down pit road now, they're going to break up this race where it's just going to be a little bit less than half and a little bit more than half here for the second run, and that basically means that they do not like their car this first run, and they're perfectly fine with taking about a 20-lap run toward the end as long as they're not on the set of tires they currently have. And you know, who could blame some of these guys? Even in the top 10, though, Michael Laria, one of the biggest examples, was in I believe 8th when he made that pit stop. So you know, definitely maybe trying to strategize it up, and you know, even if these guys, they're not racing a lot of these guys in front of them since they're so far out in front, but Ryan Dyson, he was just in front of Ryan, or just behind Ryan, I should say, was Michael, so maybe trying to use strategy there to get around him.
Ryan Dyson almost takes it a little bit wide there, almost heading off into the beaches. He'll do a nice job not getting in too much trouble there, much like we've saw out of a lot of drivers here today. On the brink of disaster, just not quite there.
Some later retirees since we last mentioned it. Colin Bowden, he's pulled the 89 car behind the wall. He did that a couple laps ago, and he is done for the evening. And also Joseph Tice has unfortunately pulled it behind the wall. That car, possibly too much damage or something went wrong on that car. Definitely not what we wanted to see from him. And Shane Terrian also actually just retired from the race this previous lap. So that's interesting. A lot of these guys who were running toward the front, Joseph and Shane particularly, having problems here in this race, and they're not going to get the finish they possibly deserve.
Ooh, Dyson's off into the grass there, and I think that'll be the deciding factor, and he's going to bring it down pit road.
Yeah, your top 5 have stayed the same. They have not made it down to pit road, but everyone else behind them making their way down pit road, at least in this lap or the next lap. And Ryan Dyson, I think he's going to be all by his lonesome, at least for this lap of pit stops. And we'll kind of see where he comes out relative to Michael Laria, who pitted a lap before him.
Hoover and Hartenfeld still out on track here. 19 laps remaining as the laps continue to click off. Hoover's led 14 of the complete laps, only 2 to Hartenfeld so far.
Your third place driver, Byron Daly, is a whopping 13.5 seconds back of your top 2 drivers. That is pretty surprising as Austin actually goes off there, saves the car, does a nice job, but It's a pretty dominating pace if you can pull away from someone like Byron Daly, and you know, anyone who's been on iRacing for a long time knows who Byron Daly is, and he's definitely not someone you would expect to be down 14 seconds halfway into a road course race. So definitely surprising pace, but these front two, Austin and Corey, they're always dominant on the road courses and continuing to show that pace tonight.
Right there, the number 99. He gets himself Jamie Haley off the track there, loses a quick spot to Bradley Burke. Bradley Burke going to fully capitalize on that and set his sights on Krzyzewski in front of him. Hartenfels down pit road, Daly down pit road, and just a few drivers still out on track.
And you would have to think, as Austin was to Corey, and we've seen this before, one of them pits one lap, and you should see the following lap Corey will come into pit road, at least we expect, because the longer you stay out there on the older tires, the more ground you're going to lose to Austin, because he'll be on those new sticker tires. So could very well see the 33 car have to come down this time by because of that action by Austin Hartenfels.
Mark Garoppolo getting passed again by Byron Daly. Byron Daly's made pit stops. Mark has not that last time by. Looks like that number 93 set almost one of the quickest laps of the race right there. And that machine is going to move back up into that fourth position for the time being. Krzyzewski's battling back there with Mark Murphy, who's also another driver that's made a pit stop, and Krzyzewski has not, nor has Jamie Haley, Chris Wright. It looks like Thomas Story also still out on track. And so with that, there's a variety of drivers that still have not quite pit. Austin Hartenfels gets around Trevor Garoppolo. That'll move him back up into the second position. And then Corey Hoover, for the time being, remaining out.
Relatively clean the racetrack, I'd say, from here on out. If we don't get a caution, got some lap cars limping around, but for the most part, they have not been a problem tonight. As Corey Hoover catches a little bit of the grass there, got a slow car up here on pit road and actually makes contact with the car, just as I said that. But so I almost lost my voice there. Michael Thompson, he checked up. He's a lap car, a couple of laps down, and actually gets into the back of Corey Hoover. Corey gets into the back of him, and big time problems almost avoided.
Yeah, that's gonna slow. That's definitely gonna slow Hoover down. He's gonna lose probably about a second from that right there.
And I think the big thing we're gonna have to watch here is that front end, and is it hurt? Is the engine gonna be a problem here for Corey? And you know, we're gonna have to just really wait and see. That's an unfortunate circumstance, but Corey Hoover, the jack drops, and here comes Austin Hartenfels by, and he's gonna take the lead.
That's actually way more than what I thought it would be, Shane. There is a gap of 7.2 seconds, actually, and that is a massive gap.
Tires, I wouldn't think would be a big difference. It's only a one-lap difference when Austin pitted to when Corey pitted. So, I mean, if you're Austin Hartenfels, all of a sudden you're in the driver's seat, and this possibly could be your race to lose. And Corey Hoover, he's got a commanding points lead, and he's led the most laps, and obviously has led a lap, so he's got those points right now. You know, definitely he's going to go for this win, but I think he really needs to understand the win's not attainable. Second place, not a bad night at all, really, so just have to wait and see exactly the condition of that 33 car.
Yep, lots of great tracks coming up. Next week we go to Chicagoland, then Indianapolis, then we have the Canadian GP. After that, we go to Talladega. So very varying schedule. We've talked about it all season long here in the CMC Sportsman series. Plenty of great stuff to watch every Thursday night here, 9 p.m. Eastern. And Shane, as this series goes on, we've seen a lot of interesting faces, a lot of interesting races, and the finishes have definitely been very exciting.
Yeah, they definitely have, and that's the cool part about the schedule, and I guess I'll mention it again, is now that we're in the second half of the season, we still have the typical, different configurations of track, a road course, short track, mile and a half, intermediate and stuff like that, which is all cool mixed in together, because each and every week you get something different, and that gives a new guy maybe who's not good on the mile and a half a chance to shine on a road course or short track even. So pretty awesome to see each and every week a different story, and pretty much a similar story we've seen all season is Corey Hoover toward the front. That's why he's your points leader, and currently second here, setting the pace he can, officially 7.5 seconds back from him to Corey, or I should say Austin Hartenfeld's back to Corey Hoover for the second spot, and Byron Daly, he's now 20 seconds behind your leader, so definitely a pretty big pace here by the 29 car.
Ryan Dyson wants to get back around Roppolo in front of him, but Roppolo looks a little bit quicker than Dyson here after just coming up off that pit stop. I'm looking at his laps prior to. He was pretty sporty, so we'll have to see if that number 9 machine can hold off that number 28.
And really looking at after pit stops, one of the biggest losers I'd say on that whole sequence was Ryan Dyson. He was inside the top 10 solidly in 8th, and actually his timing and scoring updates, he's back to 8th as some guys made some pit stops, so my error there, but nonetheless, he's back up into the top 10 and is doing a nice job there. Trevor Roppolo was inside the top 5, and he's faded back to 7th. So we'll have to see if he can maybe catch up as Michael Laria, who was just behind Ryan Dyson before. He's now 12 seconds in front of Ryan up in 6th, and actually is within striking distance of taking away the 5th spot from Bradley Burke. So possibly Michael Laria, one of the biggest winners there on that whole sequence.
And I'm very impressed to see Laria as he's moved up through the field even with that considerable amount of damage picked up earlier in the event. And, that takes a lot of grit, a lot of power out of that machine to be able to come through the field there even with the damage, still come out there, fight for it, stay out towards the front of the field, and make up positions nonetheless. It's very easy to give up at a road course because you never know if you will or will not get a caution, and it's so frustrating to drive around here all alone with a damaged car just waiting for a caution, and he stuck with it. He picked up that pace, picked up the consistency, and he stayed out here, and now he's working towards the top 5 here, 1.5 seconds back on Michael Laria, or excuse me, Bradley Burke.
All these guys around the 5th spot or so are, pretty much they've been there all night. Bradley started 4th. He's up to, he's back to 5th. Only one spot there. Michael Laria started 6th. He is currently 6th. Mark Murphy started 5th. He's 4th. So they've been pretty much where they started, and they're doing a nice job of staying consistent, staying toward the front. And I think really, Steve, the reason most of these guys started toward the front, are toward the front, is, as you said before, the lack of traffic and all that clean air they've had to just really hit their marks and do what they can. And really, these guys in the back half of the top 10 and outside the top 10 looking in, they've been in closer battles and have to dealt with more cars throughout this race, and that's probably why they're a little bit farther back than they want to be.
Oh, Ryan Dyson having a very tough lap right now. I do believe he got a slowdown penalty there, then goes off in the final corner. 1 minute and 9 seconds back, almost a full half of a lap down now. This number 28 is he's sitting all the way back in 9th right now. So Ryan Dyson struggling in that London recreational machine.
Yeah, lost 14 seconds from the previous lap, did he, on that last lap. So definitely not a good lap, as you said, Steve. And he's on damage control at least for the next couple of laps. Just run some clean laps, get your momentum back, and Road America really is a rhythm racetrack, and you lose that rhythm, you got to do a lot to get it back, but once you do get it back, it is back for real, and hopefully Ryan can settle back in here and turn some good laps.
Chris Wright is continuing to fall down the leaderboards, now outside the top 10 in 14th position, battling with Jamie Haley, who's been slowly creeping up.
Yeah, Jamie's one of those guys who definitely didn't have a good start, but you know, he's done a nice job to rebound, and he's up to 13th and doing a nice job. And you know, one of those guys who you really can't move forward at this point. It's about 8 seconds or so to Krasinski, so it's possible, but definitely not something he's probably going to do on the racetrack. Going to need an air from Krasinski to really get around him. But you know, there's lots to fight for points wise, and lots to fight for in terms of staying in front of the guys behind you. And Chris Wright is a great example. He's currently just right behind Jamie, and you know, one mistake there, that could be a position change.
And as Hartenfels now takes the 14 lap to go point, I mean, this race is clicking off pretty quickly here towards this tail end. These guys are really trying to pick up the pace to figure out what they need to do in order to catch each other. Corey Hoover, though, the fastest car on the track that last time by a full second, Shane. I mean, he was hauling the mail. Now 3.7 seconds back from Austin Hartenfels.
That 33 car is hauling the mail and some. You know, maybe it's on express delivery, who knows? But that car is up flying right now and doing a nice job of just hitting his marks. And you know, really, yeah, that pit stop altercation he had with the lap car, and then possibly a slow stop on that car, really set him back. But he's not let that hinder his race and chances of bringing home the victory tonight. And he is on hot pursuit, really, at this point for Austin Hartenfels, and getting into a rhythm, hitting his marks, and he's coming in a hurry. And before long, we're going to see that 33 car knocking on the door of yet again another win.
Ryan Dyson still hanging inside that top 10, as it looks like Chad Coleman's finally starting to make a reappearance here, trying to work his way up towards at least past that 10th position. He's been hanging out there for a little while now, and he's got a pretty consistent looking car out here. He hasn't made very many mistakes since that first round of pit stop, so I feel like Chad Coleman might have a little bit out of this car still here as the race goes on, but he's definitely not going to be nearly as fast as some of those other drivers out there, especially considering he's going to have to work through traffic here, and that's going to be a considerable amount of work here, and it's going to slow him down a lot.
A lot of these guys, they're already over a minute off of your leader, so, you know, pending cautions, which probably really won't happen at this point in the race. We have passed that, really the action point of the car, or at least the point where the cars are going to be very close to each other. Now it's hit your marks, you know where you can advance, and really if you can advance, and just focus on being clean and doing the best job you can with what you've got in front of you. And definitely for Chad Coleman, he's got a chance for a top 9, so we'll figure out and see if he can get that here from Ryan as he makes his move down the front straightaway.
A couple of drivers heading back down pit road for their second, and well, back in just a little bit.
Tom comes over the spectrum with a job. All it says is an amount of cargo, a delicate timetable, and a risky route. You know you've got 42 cubic meters to pack full of profit. We're talking pressurized and shock-resistant construction, so whatever you put in here comes out the same way. You got two Arc Duo 400 engines. Their award-winning colloid ion technology gives you maximum fuel efficiency while keeping your sig low. You come across a couple of pirates.
Hey, Lancer, you know the drill.
But with a weapon system featuring trusted names like Bering and Kronik, you aren't too worried.
Commercial vessel, freelancer class. Brake tags look good. Cleared for landing in Area 18.
You're the one they come to when they need a...
Back here live after we almost just had our first major incident for a little bit here. Ryan Dyson just did a beautiful job making a save there. Slipped up off the track there, caught the grass, and into the wall he went. And he just kept that car on rolling here. And luckily for him, didn't really lose too much of time, so he'll be able to keep it driving here. But wow, Ryan Dyson just can't find any luck. And up towards the front, we'll talk about that. Corey Hoover now 1.1 seconds back away as we are still 11 laps out from the finish of this thing. But Corey Hoover is consistently driving so much quickly. Wow, I don't know where my English just went.
It's alright, Steve. I've had plenty of those moments tonight. It's really one of those nights here, but nonetheless, you know, I think the biggest question Corey has is when he gets to Austin, will he be able to pass him, and has he used those tires up just trying to catch Austin? You know, catching one guy's or catching a guy is one thing, passing him is another, and definitely this is going to be a situation where if Corey does get there, you know, how much authority does he use, and really how bad does he want this win and wants to take it away from Austin Hartenfeld?
Bradley Burke goes off there for a hot second as he almost takes a trip to the beaches here. And not too much has really changed. We'll take a look here. The current running order as we're coming down to the wire here, it's getting closer and closer for that top spot, but everybody else is almost 2 or 3 zip codes away from that. And Byron Daly is 23 seconds back, Bradley Burke 57, Michael Araya inside the top 5. He might just be the driver of the so far. Trevor Roppolo in 6th, Markel Murphy is in 7th, J.D. Laird in 8th, Chad Coleman in 9th, Mark Roppolo is over there in 10th. As we continue to roundabout here, Shane, I don't really think a lot of these drivers have much of a shot. We'd have to have some type of massive incident.
Yeah, we'd have to have lap cars all over the place, really, you know, pretty much spinning these leaders out. There's really no other way I can think of that these guys are going to, you know, have something impact this race for the win. It's between Austin Hartenfeld and Corey Hoover, and you know, really who's going to win? That's anyone's guess. But we know these two drivers have set the pace all night. They are the fastest cars, and they will be the two that are going to be the guys battling to take that checkered flag in tonight's event. And over the course of the next 9.5 laps or so, really going to find out who wants it more and who's got the car to make it happen here. And, you know, so far, Austin, he's dominated the second portion of the race. Corey's the first, so, you know, really, it's a toss-up at this point. Anyone's guess is a good guess.
We took a quick ride on board there, looking at what things look like from the front of Corey Hoover's view, and, well, it's got to be frustrating for him because he's so close but so far away at the same time. Just cannot get any quicker over here. And he's doing everything he can as he makes a big run through the S's there, heading up towards those final corners. I don't know, Shane, man. This battle has been, it's a battle that we see every single time we send these two drivers to the same track that's a road course or anything like this. We see them right on top of each other battling.
And knowing that have almost half a, well, really half a lap, not really half a lap I should say, well half a lap back to fourth definitely, but it's about 25 seconds or so back to Byron Daly, so they have a humongous gap back to the third place driver. So, you know, if they want to take this to a different level, maybe battle side by side, train some pace, even turn it into a survival mode, I guess you could say, for the lead. It really, you know, doesn't matter between them. They can literally do whatever they want, battling for the lead. And, you know, these guys, they've done it several times before, and, you know, it could very well be a very interesting battle if Corey does get to Austin here in a couple laps. And, you know, we've still got a lot of this race left as in terms of turns and places to make things happen. So, guess it's really going to be a wait and see kind of thing.
They're right on top of each other, so I mean, one mistake and either one of them could be in a little bit of trouble up at the front of the field here. And I really don't know, Shane, if something happens to one of them and it takes out both of them, who's going to be the biggest beneficiary? It's going to be hard to tell. Byron Daly's so far back that these guys could sit around, do a quick donut, and probably still have some space on them.
Byron Daly 25 seconds back, and a minute and 5 seconds back is Bradley Burke at fourth. He's doing a nice job there. He's got about 2 seconds over Michael Laria, who you talked about before, Steve. Actually one of the biggest beneficiaries here of that green flag pit stop about midway through the race. That car up into the top 5 after making that pit stop, and he seems like he's going to finish in the top 5 if he can keep those wheels pointed straight. And he's even got a chance to catch Bradley for that fourth spot. So Michael really doing a nice job of pulling this race together, moving forward, and could get a really solid night out of tonight.
Taking a look, Ryan Dyson's now outside that top 10 here as his night just continues to get a little bit tougher out here. He's got a little bit of time to make up those spots, maybe get back up inside that top 10, but Shane, after you have such a tough night here, how do you overcome it? This place is just so tough.
I think one of the biggest things that Ryan Dyson can do looking forward is that next week isn't a road course. I know we do go back, as you said before, Steve, we do go back to Canada there, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, so Ryan will have a chance here, you know, maybe redeem himself on, you know, really not going to put him under the coffin just yet here in this race because we still have quite a, you know, few turns and laps to go, at least for this track being 4 miles. So Ryan has a chance to possibly get a top 10 here still, but if he does end up with a night of disappointment, he still has a more chance during the season here on the road courses. And, you know, obviously when we return back to the ovals next week, he'll, you know, be back to a place of comfort and possibly could, you know, get a better finish there and start building that momentum back up.
And Michael Araya is trying to close in on Bradley Burke, just not really able to pick up the pace because right now it's at that point of the run where it seems like everyone's starting to stall out a little bit. Even the battle for the lead. You take a look, they're right on top of each other, but neither one of them really making a move.
Corey Hoover's definitely been the fastest one, but I think a big question to ask is he cooling his tires, and is he kind of taking it easy now that he has caught Austin, and maybe is Austin taking it easy and Corey really has used his tires up that much that he can't make that ground up despite Austin backing off? Really, we don't know at this point. We'll only wait and see when we get down to it, as Corey really throws it in there, so we know he's still trying as hard as he can, and that car getting all kinds of sideways off those last 2 turns and back onto the front straightaway there by the lap car. And I think we definitely know Corey Hoover, he's still going for it, 110% effort.
Hopping on board here with Corey Hoover, we'll take a look at the battle for the lead and for what could be and should be the win. All things said and done when it comes down to it. It looks like Hoover's coming closer and closer, being able to make that pass, just can't quite get there. And it'll take a little bit of a pressure pass probably to be able to do it. So as we dive it down in one of these, this is a passing zone. You're coming off a very long straightaway, and if you can either angle your entry or dive it in really deep, you can sometimes find ways to sneak on by here heading into the carousel coming up on the right here. And you can see that these drivers, they are wheeling it all over, and it's not easy by any means.
Definitely isn't, and these guys, and as we've said all night, so equal in pace, and really any road course they go to, Corey Hoover, Austin Hartenfeld is equal in pace, and Austin goes wide there. That's a mistake he can't make, or when we get down to the last 2 laps or so. You can't go wide in the carousel. He almost left the door open too much for Corey Hoover. One move there, and if he cuts down, he goes around and possibly ends his night right there in that turn. So these guys, they have to be careful. This is a very high-speed part of the racetrack right here. Not a lot of room to work with as in terms of passing, but you're still on the gas through this entire straightaway, hard braking into this right-hander here. And another nice passing zone. If Corey can do it, here he goes to the inside of Austin Hartenfeld. Austin goes wide, and that one move, and Corey Hoover back to the lead.
Yeah, very nice pass there out of that number 33, and it was a journey to get there, and he made that pass look very powerful, but I have a feeling his RCA counterpart and teammate, Hartenfeld, he's not going to roll over just because he made a powerful pass. I think we'll see that number 29 Castrol Edge machine right back there battling for it.
Yeah, that actually was a mistake from the 29 Austin Hartenfeld. Outbraked a little bit, and actually outbrakes him there, gets into Corey. They go sideways, but they save it. Does a nice job, and a little bit of a chrome horn there starting to happen.
Yeah, that gap spread out a little bit because it looks like after he made that pass, not only was he able to make it, but he's pretty darn sporty still, even after burning him down, trying to catch up to that top place driver. And now that he's the top place driver, we'll just have to see if he pulls away or if he continues to hang out in that general area, or if Austin can maybe pull out some more speed here and get back to his teammate. 6 laps remain, so there's still plenty of time. And that is quite a few miles still, so Shane, with these guys battling back here, there's a couple of other drivers that are battling. Ryan Dyson lost the 11th position, then got it back from Krzyzewski, and now Krzyzewski needs to get it back after a slight mistake. Jamie Haley's the last car in the lead lap, wants to pass Chris Wright. So there's still some battles going around on the track, which is impressive considering this place is so massive, and we've been greening the entire way through. And Dyson's getting really loose there, almost heads down pit road, and he'll save it, but he'll lose the spot for the time being.
Yeah, he lost the spot, gained it back, and loses it again, and he's going to need to put together some good string of laps here, last couple laps, and possibly get back to that Krzyzewski machine, the 4-car. And the struggles continue for Ryan. Really, he's done nothing but fade, unfortunately, since the second half of this race. And slide it back in the 12th spot. He can't fall any further back than that unless having a major problem like a spin or mechanical failure or something like that. So gonna have to see if he can get back around Justin, but both these guys just outside the top 10. Chad Coleman, the final car, in the 10th spot at the moment to hold down a top 10, and these guys over a minute and 46 seconds behind your leader, Corey Hoover and Austin Hartenfels. That is an eternity around this racetrack. That's basically 3/4 of a lap down, and it's a pretty impressive pace considering this track is an entire 4 miles long.
And then Hartenfels is not giving up for that top spot. JD Laird's got competition as well out of Mark Garoppolo. So here, with all these guys trying to battle it out and, you know, maybe make up a couple of, you know, late race positions, you just never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, Mark Garoppolo doing a nice job there in 9th, just on the back bumper of JD Laird for 8th. That is the closest battle on the racetrack besides the one for the lead, and Mark's going to take a look to the outside here and not going to make it work down that long straightaway, sweeping turns, high speed, and back down here to about 50 miles an hour or so. JD does a nice job to save it there, keep going, and going to be an interesting battle, see who can come away with this 8th spot.
Hartenfels almost gets in trouble there. Oh, he was on the brink of getting in a lot of trouble, Shane. He got 2 tires off in the grass there, almost drove it way off the track, and that number 29 Castrol Edge machine, he is pushing, he is sliding it. He just can't quite get there.
He's giving it everything he's got because he knows that's pretty much all he can do at this point. He's not going to just watch that 33 car walk away from him and accept the 2nd place finish. That's not the Austin Hartenfels we watch each and every week. He wants to go out here and get the win because that's what a race car driver does, and that's what he's doing. Here he comes, and we'll see if he can make it up.
Yeah, he's trying to make up that time, and he's trying to do it as quickly as possible here. Big dive into the corner, and I mean, it's sitting at about half of a second as is right now, and it just takes a slip up or one mistake or one good corner for either driver, and it could be set. And really, we're not going to know who's going to be victor. There's a lot of races when you're on the final lap, you know, you see 2 or 3 seconds and you're good to go. But right now, at a place like this, you just don't know who's going to be the victor until really they cross the line. Michael Araya almost is up to Bradley Burke's back bumper now, as these guys are still a minute and 19 seconds back from Corey Hoover, Austin Hartenfels. They're battling it out. Byron Daly's all on his lonesome, 34 seconds behind. And then Jamie Haley still wants to get back by Chris Wright. He might just be able to do so there as Chris Wright goes off into the dirt. And Jamie Haley's going to try to be the benefactor here. He's going to look down to the inside, not going to be able to make the move, and he'll just ride behind him for the time being. But that number 99 iBuy Power machine might just have something for him. And then Bradley Burke and Michael Araya going at it there, as Araya will move up into 4th position as they go around Michael Thompson, as he'll go a lap down. And Trevor Garoppolo wants in on the action as well. So plenty of drivers in the mix, making positions up as, whoa, Araya gets loose.
Do a nice job to gather it back up, does Michael, and he's really been on a tear, at least the second half of the race. Probably one of the hardest chargers of the night, and he hasn't moved up that many spots, but he's done a nice job to move up into the top 5, and really now the top 4 as he goes around Bradley, as you said, Steve, and he's going to pull away, but Bradley Burke, he's got to stop the bleeding because he just lost the 4th spot and could possibly lose the 5th spot of Trevor Roppolo here because Trevor's coming in a hurry and got a chance to take away that spot.
Bradley Burke, you know, he's had a really lackluster night, and that's not a bad thing. He's been inside the top 5, hasn't been involved in really much of anything. A pretty clean car, and he is hanging out there, but we just must have missed it because Corey Hoover lost the lead.
Yeah, Deedley did, and actually lost it big time there. He's going to be about a second back afterwards, so we'll have to figure out and see if he can get the lead back, but that's a mistake you can't make late in the race, knowing that if you make that one mistake, that could be it, and possibly might not be able to get back to him for the lead.
Trevor Roppolo now sets his sights on that Burke machine, that royal purple synthetic oil machine. And he's going to look to the outside there almost, and that's only going to get you so far in turn 1. There's a lot of tracks where you might be able to switch up your line going into the first corner on a road course, or really any of the corners, change either your entry or exit speed. I don't think that corner's one of them.
And that time Austin Hartenfels, he gets really loose off one of those turns, and now Corey's right back to him. So we're going to have to see now that both these guys have made mistakes, who's going to have the better car, and really, I think it is survivor mode at this point. You can't make mistakes, and the one who makes the least is going to end up probably winning this race, and good turn by Corey there, so they make their way toward the front straightaway, and see if he can maybe set up a pass into turn 1 here as we get the 2 to go.
Popping on board here once again with Hoover, looking to try to pass Hartenfels, but will he be able to do so? It was the question vice versa not too long ago we were asking, but this is going to be a crazy 2 laps.
Have a lap car coming up here, could possibly be a factor in this battle for the lead, but besides that, these guys are going for it in a hurry, and you know Austin, he needs this win probably more than Corey does with the kind of championship standings Corey has. He's already led a lot of laps and is going to come away with a great points day regardless if he finishes first or second, but for Austin Hartenfels, really just the stamina to beat Corey Hoover, someone who's so close to you each and every road course race, and these guys are on pace. You got to think they've got a tally going, at least, you know, who wins at what track and whatnot. So, going to have to figure out and see who can bring it home. But right now, Austin Hartenfels has got it, and Corey Hoover wants it.
It's got to be frustrating to be these drivers at some point. You think, oh, I tried to get away from him, but he's still here, he's still battling, and, well, I mean, with 2 laps to go, it's still a dead heat. We could have gone back 30 laps ago and saw the same exact battle here. And both of them are slipping, they're sliding head as they drive it through the S's. Shane, it is coming down the wire.
This is the part of the track saw the pass for the lead before, and it's like nothing doing this time by. Gonna possibly watch that next lap, the final lap, to figure out if that is. But here comes Corey Hoover, tries to throw the nose there, no spot there, not a passing zone, does a nice job to carry it back up. This turn might be a passing zone though. He breaks it down and just going to hang on to the rear bumpers, and they make their way toward the front straightaway. The white flag is going to be in the air here, the final lap.
And final lap is out here at Road America for the UpperEdge Racing CMC Sportsman Series. Who's going to bring it home? That's the big question here as Hartenfels drives it in. Oh, he's in trouble. They're both in trouble, Shane. They're both in trouble. Both in the grass.
Both in the grass, but it really doesn't matter at this point. It's who makes it back first, and Corey throws in the move. Nothing doing there. Austin, rear tire's gone. Doesn't matter. He's He's getting it off the corner, does a nice job to gather it back up. Corey Hoover, how far will he outbrake, or at least attempt to outbrake Austin? That's really the only way he's going to beat him at this point. Heavy braking zone here. He's going to duck to the outside. Here he comes. Going to really throw it in there. They're going to be neck and neck through that turn.
Oh, and with that preferred line down on the inside, he'll get clear. And oh, here comes the dive out on the inside. Oh, they make contact. They're both sideways and they both save it. I cannot believe it. They both saved it.
And they both saved it, pretty much resumed back to what they were doing, right in front of each other at least. And now Corey banging on the back bumper. We're going to throw it in here. Not really another passing zone. Gives a tap to Austin. Throws him into the gravel. They're going to save it, but Austin's going to lose the lead. Corey takes it back. We still got a whole nother half lap left.
And I tell you what, Shane, I cannot believe that right there. Oh, man. I tell you what, if you're a team owner, you're like, oh my gosh, tearing up all the equipment, but they're having a hell of a time doing it here. And now with Hoover back out in front, what does Hartenfels do to get there? He drives it in deep and hard, but it's only going to get him so far. He has to get to that bumper, use that chrome horn here.
He's running out of turns to do it. Going to throw it in here, pretty much slideways through that turn. It's about 4 car lengths back here as they make their way to the final couple of turns or so. Corey Hoover has been dominant all night. He makes the pass on the final lap, and now it's up to him to hang on at this point as they make their way around one of the sweeping turns and onto the front straightaway. Corey Hoover putting it together.
And coming across the stripe here to complete the final lap, Corey Hoover is going to win it here from Road America after an insane final lap. Let's go back and take a look at that.
You could tell he wasn't going to do it by not making contact, but nonetheless, throws a little bit of the chrome horn, and there we go for the win. Corey Hoover brings it home tonight in Road America.
Yeah, you know, I don't even know if he made contact there that second time. Let's take another look. Did he make contact? Yeah, yes, he did. He did give him a tap there, and wow. Let's take another look at when they're both sideways. Okay, so here they are once again, right after that intense moment, heading down into the corner, and oh, you see, he just gets right into it there, and oh, wow.
As the rest of these guys finish up the race, a lot of them very far back, so lots of guys still making their way across the finish line. Michael Laria runs out of fuel in the final turn, loses the 4th spot to Trevor Roppolo. He still comes home 5th. Mark Murphy 6th. Bradley Burke has fallen to 7th. Mark Rapolo, J.D. Laird, and Chad Coleman rounding out your top 10 here as the race finishes up.
Results are up on the screen there. Chad Coleman rounds out the top 10 from Road America. And then you've got Krasinski, Ryan Dyson, Chris Wright, Jamie Haley, Thomas Story, Zach Michael, Michael Thompson, and then Jason Thompson, Joe Lawrence, Alan Cryer, and then Joseph Tice, Shane Terry, and Tom Bourne, Colin Bowden, Mike Tellier, Finn Layson, and then Rally Grant Davis to round out the field. And Shane, well, I think that was quite the race right there. How do we even process that final lap?
Well, really what we saw is some pretty classical racing between Corey Hoover, Austin Hartenfels. We've seen some highlights over the seasons and years from these guys, especially on CFI, so really cool to see them bring home a finish like that. You know, Corey Hoover, he took all that time to catch Austin. When he finally got there, he took the lead and then lost it again, and I think that really turned it on for him, and he went for it and used the bumper, the chrome horn in the final lap there, one of those turns to make the move, and ends up winning the race. And he pulled Austin pretty substantially toward the end there in the final a couple of turns and really solidify yet another dominating victory to add to that point lead.
Well, for everybody up here in the booth, it's Steve Bonesteel, Shane Doherty signing off. Expect us back in 1 week's time. We're going to Chicagoland here, as that is surely to be a blast here just past the halfway point of the CMC Sportsman season. We will see you next time.